Hi, it's Christine Daigle.
I'm Jena Brown.
JP Rindfleisch.
I'm Kevin Tumlinson.
And I'm JD Barker. Welcome to Writers Inc. So I imagine this podcast probably sounds horrible.
Yes.
So for those of you listening, we are in Vegas at Author Nation. We are the bulk of us are in my hotel room, just spread out in different parts. We didn't allow Kevin in the hotel room. He's back at his own. We didn't give him the room.
That's
Can't
pretty
be trusted.
self-explanatory.
Yeah.
I forgot deodorant.
There may be echo, so I am apologizing in advance.
Sorry, Alex.
Sorry, Alex. Who is also here.
Alex is also here. We're all here in Vegas.
Cool. All right. Do we have anything we're talking about? We all just saw each other like 5 minutes ago, so this is weird. Like, typically we go a whole week and we've got stuff to catch up on.
Yeah.
It's been pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, Author Nation, there's definitely more people here than last year, which is good. The weather is crazy warm compared to last year. I don't know if that's good or bad. We got James Patterson coming up for the keynote on Thursday, so that should be a lot of fun. So yeah, good conference.
And we've been totally studious and going to every panel and absolutely did not ditch and just go to the pool. That did not happen.
No, not at all. I don't even know where the pool is.
Yeah, I think it's closed, to
Yeah.
be honest.
All right. Well, Kevin, what is in the news?
Well, first up, new fund to grant $50 million to literary arts orgs. 7 major foundations led by Mellon launched the Literary Arts Fund, committing at least $50 million over 5 years. The fund backs U.S. nonprofit literary orgs and publishers outside commercial publishing, especially those supporting first-time, underrepresented, and artistically adventurous writers. I really want to know what that means. Aiming to shore up a sector squeezed by funding cuts and rising costs. Partners hope to draw more philanthropies into a field that currently gets under 2% of arts giving. Eligible U.S. nonprofits or fiscally sponsored groups supporting contemporary poetry, fiction, creative nonfiction, or hybrid forms can apply starting November 10th at literaryartsfund.org.
Cool. Did you already apply?
Gone there right after this show. I want to be considered
that you're artistically adventurous. How are you going to show that?
It's going to require some duct tape
behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. But where there's a bed, there's a way. I will figure it out.
No, but I think this is a great thing because, like, in my region, we have the Rockford Area Arts Council, and within the past couple of years, they've started to include more and more literary as part of the arts, because clearly it is, but it's been a while since they've really brought us in as like a solid member. So it's been really cool seeing these other things, peak up and show up as well.
Yeah. Literary arts are chronically underfunded, so this is great. I want to check it out and see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Nothing further. All right. Next up, sorry, and I have to squint because this is on my phone and so very, very tiny. And I'm going to say that this is Tertulia. Is that how you pronounce it?
I agree. That's how I pronounce it.
Okay.
That's how
Tertulia. Well, here we go then. Tertulia. Sorry, Alex. Let's try that one more time. Tertulia expands into author services. Tertulia is launching Tertulia for Authors on November 18th, an automated site builder that creates an author website from a single ISBN using Ingram data with simple templates and live Zoom support. In beta since April, it's seen strong traction. 10,000 accounts, 3,500 paying subscribers, and a reported 35 to 40% free to paid conversion, with publishers already recommending it to authors. Why it matters? Well, it lowers the tech barrier to author websites, ties directly to book discovery and e-commerce with Tertulia's 100K monthly visitors and 10K paying members, and may especially help indies by connecting readers who want to directly support authors.
So I'm a little confused. So is this creating like an independent website, like with your own domain and everything, or is this just creating like a page on their website?
You know,
You know what I mean?
I didn't look at that. I should have. It's probably there. I know BookBub is like their own website.
Yeah, it looks like maybe it's the own website that is then like the link is on, so it like takes them to an individual page.
So I
Yeah,
guess
since
if you got multiple books, you just have to make sure that Ingram's actually got all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
is it really Ingram specific though? Because I mean, it says ISBN.
Yeah, but it looks like
Ingram data.
yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I signed up for Tertulia when it first came out. That was, I think, years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave really cool book recommendations. Like it was always right on. And then I forgot about it. So I'm going to check it out again.
Yeah. We won't forget about it this time.
That's it.
Never heard of it, but I'm going to check it out.
But yeah, I'll have to go give it a whirl.
Sounds useful. Tortilla for authors. Tortilla. Close enough. All right. Last story. At Frankfurt, French publishers face secondhand book threats. French publishers warn that secondhand book sales, now an estimated 15 to 20% of France's book market, divert revenue without compensating authors or publishers. They're urging a legal, quote, resale right for books, citing precedents like fixed book prices, reprography rights, public lending rights, and private copying levies to rebalance access and creator pay. France's state council has signaled support. Publishers say the only thing missing is political will, especially urgent as physical resale networks keep expanding.
I'm in the same boat you are. I'm trying to read this on a really small screen, and I could have sworn the story was about Al Franken until I got closer. So that Frankfurt.
This is I don't agree with this. First of all, what is going on in France? They're a disaster. I think this just adds to that. I mean, they already got the sale. It's secondhand. It means that somebody already purchased it. You already got yeah, like you can't. I am just like, ugh.
I think the word you're looking for is dumb. This is
yes.
Well, this is a book tax.
Yeah. The one thing this made me think of was when cryptocurrency was a big thing and the blockchain and the concept of like an ebook having that sort of trail back to the creator. But there's no way to do this physically, and there shouldn't be a way to do this physically when it comes to this sort of thing. But
yeah, you're just going to punish people for reading, and then you're also limiting it, I think, in some ways, because if now that there's like some sort of royalty people have to pay, like obviously like prices will go up, right? Maybe that's not so obvious, but you're really going to go after someone who paid like $2 for a book to get like whatever percentage that is at a Goodwill.
And what is the where's the line on this anyway? So like if I bought a DVD and I sell the DVD to somebody, does the production company now need to get paid again? Or this doesn't make any actual logical sense. It's just people grousing and trying to get more money.
You know, like you give a book to someone, like, are they now going to be, like JD said, taxed to read it?
This is just France looking for revenue in places where they shouldn't be looking.
They should, look at the Louvre.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll use this money to buy a real lock.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, we really haven't talked much about secondhand books, but I kind of look at it as the same way as libraries, right? Like, well, I guess not quite the same because we do make money from libraries, but these are not people who are going to pay full price for a book if you're buying them secondhand that's already been paid for. So I agree. I don't think that they should do this.
Well, and it also just, it's sort of very elitist to look at it that way too. I mean, book sales, there's the tangible book sales, which are the things that you can track. But like, there's a lot of intangible things. Someone may come across a book of yours at like a free little library or find it at a bus stop and read it and love it. And then, continue to purchase your books or get, a bunch for free somewhere and then devour them. And, the word of mouth and the enthusiasm, like you can't put a price tag on that. And the more you try, I think the worse it does for you. So I think that sometimes the focus on like that dollar sign, it's not good.
This is like you buy a used car, and somehow you have to compensate the plant that built
The
it.
manufacturer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
You
crazy.
put another product in there besides a book, and like it really jumps out at just how silly it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, tracking an ebook and blockchain is just as silly. I mean, that first time sale is really the only one that matters. After that, it doesn't
Yeah.
belong to the people that owned it prior to that.
Yep.
So
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
You have a story. Share it with the world. Ingram Spark offers everything you need to publish, promote, sell, and print your book. Reach millions of readers worldwide with powerful tools created for independent authors. Get started for free at ingramspark.com/learn more.
Okay. JD, who is up this week?
this week we've got Bennecke coming on. His debut thriller, Civil Terror Gridlock, won several awards, including first place for Best of Backlist in the 2023 Feathered Quill Awards. He continued the award sweep with his second novel, Waterborne, and his latest, Echo from the Bayou, is doing fantastic as well. We're going to dive into what it takes to build a career as a thriller author in today's complex publishing world. Here he is, Bennecke.
Okay.
All right, we're here. We
We're
made it.
here. We made it.
Hey, yay.
Yeah, well, glad to have you on. And as you might know, we like to start at the beginning. So let's start with your writer's journey. How did you get started writing?
Wow. So yeah, Bennecke. I woke up one day and I said, I want to write a novel. I have no idea. I have no training, but I have a story that I want to get out there into the world. So I did what any normal engineering person would do. Logically, I went and bought How to Write a Novel for Dummies. And I tore through that and I edited, marked it up and everything. And I thought, that's all you need to know. They kept talking about craft this and craft that. And I'm like, oh, we don't need all this stuff. And I wrote a couple of chapters. Didn't do any kind of an outline or anything. Again, no idea what I'm doing. I showed it to my wife and she's like, you sure you want to do this writing thing here on the side here as a hobby? I mean, normally you pick things as a hobby that you're going to be good at. And I was like, so it's not all that good, right? And I went back and I read it and I'm like, this is horrible. It doesn't sound like the stuff that I read. It's doesn't sound good. And so I went to a writers conference in Las Vegas and I met another Christine Fairchild. And she kind of said, oh, this is the craft and this and that, and I'll help you and all this stuff. And started working with her, and she's got some classes that she teaches, and I kind of took those. And you want to minimize using these words, to do this and the sentence length and all this stuff. And I started learning. That was my beginning of the craft. And from a creative perspective, I love that. And I'm still learning every day. I don't think any of us actually gets to the point where you're at the top. It's a journey. But yeah, so I wrote a book. And I didn't know what to do with it. And I went to the Santa Barbara Writers Conference. And I met Gail Lynns, just who happened to be sitting in for somebody who got sick, totally random. And she had me read the first couple of pages. And she's like, you're really good. I love your story. And yours is a thriller. You're a thriller writer. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, you need to go to ThrillerFest. Me and David Morale, we did that in Rambo. I'm like, okay, well, where's that at? She's, it's in New York, and we're doing our 11th one this year, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, New York? That's like on the other side of the country. And she's like, we have Pitch Fest there, and you can find an agent and all this stuff. And anyway, long story short, without boring you with all the details, fast. That was my first book 10 years ago. And since then, I've had 3 books published, and my agent now has the next 4 on submission, and I'm working on 3 more. So lots of details in between, but again,
yeah.
But it's been a learning process. I love the writing community. I love people like you who are right, and you're successful, and you're helping other people. And I did real estate for a few years, and it's very competitive and it's cutthroat, and there's anger and greed and people stabbing you in the back, right and left. And this is not like that. This is very friendly and helpful. And I'm on my journey. I'm no Stephen King. I'm no JD Barker, but I'm not new. I'm in the middle somewhere, and it's not good or bad, right or wrong. But I I try to take people who are a little bit earlier, further back on their journey. How can I help you? Because there've been so many people who've stepped up and helped me. Heather Graham, and I can list off dozens of people helped me over the years get to where I'm at. So I want to, give back as much as I can. So
Yeah.
it's a nice community. Everybody's so friendly.
It's interesting because for the most part, most writers are nice and they will share their knowledge and they will help you. It's very
Yes,
collaborative and community focused. And
collaborative.
yeah,
Yes,
you hear people say there's
rising tide lifts all ships. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Or there's, room on the shelf for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah,
Great.
it's
Yeah,
always
I
been a
like that.
great experience. So it is
Absolutely.
definitely
Yeah. Agree
different in that
100%.
way from real estate. So
That's right. Yep. And yeah, so I'm having a good time, and I write part-time, and I'm looking to write more full-time eventually. And so I'm just kind of doing this in parallel with my career, which is kind of sort of winding down right now.
mhm.
And we'll see what happens. I'm just open to, letting the universe kind of surprise me. And I have no expectations. I've never had any expectations from day one. I'm just here to try to tell stories and entertain people. And I love, getting up in the morning and reading. Well, politics starts. It's a creative thing. It helps keep me sane.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So let's start with your
Yeah.
debut novel. How did you
Yeah.
go about getting that out into the world?
Okay. So the debut novel was called Civil Terror Gridlock. If I could go back, I would change the name, but it is what it is. I thought it was being cute having a CT there, similar to the Caltrans, or Department of Transportation out here. It's transportation based, and it's essentially weaponized transportation. It's weaponized self-driving cars. And I started seeing cars come online that are driving themselves. And I was like, are we really ready for this? I mean, we still have traffic congestion all over the place, at least here in Southern California. Maybe we can write a book. Maybe I can write a book. I kind of fix that, and maybe it'll get out there and get the message out there. It was very naive, but that motivated me at the time. Wrote the book. I thought all you needed to do to edit was like you do in high school. You write your paper, you check the grammar and spelling, and you're good. But in reality, at that point, I was like 5% done. I spent 95% of the time on that book in editing because there were so many issues with it. I ended up getting an agent at ThrillerFest, at Pitch Fest. He told me, take this book, get the manuscript to the best possible shape it can be. I want it super polished. I'm going to be sending this out to the big, the big agents. And I didn't know that the bar is very high. If you want to get any kind of a publisher, the bar is very high. You want to be traditionally published, the bar is very high. Craft is key. You need to have a great story, but you need to do all the stuff right too. So I worked with my editor at the time. We went some back and forth, and we did some polishing. I thought the bar was down here, and I gave it back to him. And he couldn't sell it. He tried for 10 months, sent it to all the regular people, and nobody picked it up. And I met him the next year at ThrillerFest, and he said, I'm going to have to let you go. I was in the process of working on my second book. I have to let you go. It's not working. We're getting the feedback I'm getting is this reads like a movie, not like a novel. It's like, well, is that a compliment, or I don't know. Isn't that what you want? Something easy to read. And so he dropped me, and then I was kind of in limbo land, because back then, this is like 2018. Back then, there was kind of you're either traditionally published or you're independently published or self-published, and they weren't really getting along. And now there's hybrids, and you can do this book this way and this book that way.
Mhm.
But back then I kind of got, I don't want to say blacklisted, but when I went back to ThrillerFest, there's no debut author breakfast. There's no congratulations. You're not a member of ITW, blah, blah, blah. And it was kind of like, oh, I kind of blew my shot here right out of the gate. I didn't even know this because I went and published it myself, and did all the marketing myself. hired a publicist, 2 publicists. I did all the marketing. We got on TV and did magazine articles, newspaper articles. And we had a bunch of sales. It went up. It was in the top 100 for, Amazon bestseller. But that's kind of how I got that published. And it was kind of a huge learning curve for me. But I did learn a lot about the publishing industry and marketing and publicity.
Yeah. And I love that story because I think people don't hear that enough. Something doesn't work out. It feels like, that first agent, and there are lots of people who go on sub with their first agent who don't sell.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
a lot of them quit, or you feel like it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
But this is a long game of persistence, right? So I think it's great for people to hear.
Persistence is key. Yes.
That now, however many books later, so we're what, 7 books later or whatever, you're with 4 more in the wings, that you have another agent and you're back on submission.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was tricky, tricky. And that's my journey. And everybody, I have I talk to a lot of authors. I feel like there's very few people that write a book, get an agent, and get published right out of the gate.
Yeah.
It happens, but I think it's just very rare. And most people have some kind of a hurdle process that they have to do. And for me, I think it's probably, my journey has been fraught with hurdles because I was so new, so ignorant at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I was ignorant, arrogant, put a word to it. That's me. But I wanted to do it, and I think that helped. But I had a long way to go. I had a long way to go to get to where you can write something and somebody's going to open it and go, "Oh, this is a normal book." It's at that level where now, is it a good story? Do you have the twist? And you're looking at those more advanced writing concepts versus like, the subject and the verb, and I'm still getting tripped up on some of the basic grammar stuff. And what is a gerund? I don't know. It's this. You don't use those. Why not? Maybe don't use the word it. Try to minimize the word it. Why? It's it. That's how we talk. Well, you don't want to, just because you talk that way doesn't mean you want to write. There's hundreds of these, these craft things, which again, fascinating. But I didn't know all that stuff. So I had a steep learning curve and a long way to go to get to get to where I'm at.
Yeah. And that's funny that you said that, because those things, and I don't even think about that. You learn them somewhere from someone.
Somewhere.
And that one that you said, I'm like, that's right. You don't use it. You find a specific word to replace it with. So
you want to be specific, just like little things like that. And,
that's it. That's it. That's what I did there. So that's great. So now, okay, the book that you have on submission. So you've kind of done this trilogy of what could happen to the U.S. infrastructure to take us out if we were hacked into. You've got one on Gridlock, on the traffic, the weaponized cars.
Traffic. Yep.
You've got one on Waterborne that is weaponizing our drinking water, and now I know you have one on submission about blackout, the power. Now, are those in series, or are they all standalone, or how does that work together?
It's a series, but each one of them is standalone.
Yeah.
You want to interpret that. Obviously, if you buy book 3, you can read book 3 all by itself, but you'll want to read 1 and 2 eventually, but you don't have to. We work with the editor and stuff you've done this. It's a balancing act. You can't just write a standalone. You need to sprinkle in a couple of paragraphs here and there that kind of give hints what happened before, so the person's caught up without revealing the cool stuff that happened before. So there's a term for that. It's a key graph, some kind of a graph, key graph or infograph or something there where you put these, just a couple of paragraphs in there and say, this is kind of what happened. You summarize like the last book or whatever. So we work with that to find that balance. You don't want to put an info dump, a backstory, here or there or whatever. People are glossed over that just a little bit to give them what they need to understand. This story. So, but it's basically a trilogy. And then the blackout. It's our power grid. There's 3 power grids in the United States. There's a kind of a west half, an east half, which is both of them are tied up into Canada, and then there's Texas all by itself. And they don't talk, and they're both like archaic, and they're in the process of updating, but there's a lot of potential for, unfortunately, for hacking and terrorist type activities. And we saw what happened a few years ago in Texas when they had that cold snap. These are real world problems. You know, they had power go out for a few days. People died. They didn't have heat. Their toilets froze and with water, and then it's, you know, cracked and everything. These are real problems. And that was just a few days without power during extreme weather event. But you know, imagine the whole country is out of power for a day or two. Probably be fine. But if you go a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, now your water's not getting treated. Obviously your cell phones aren't working because those have generators that have and battery backups which have limited power. But once the cell towers go out, your cell phones are gone. So now you're not, you know, this is all how we communicate right now.
Yeah.
We're on the internet right now. The internet goes down, no power. You won't get gas because the gas station pumps out there. I mean, there's a huge list I could go through. And all of a sudden it's like, where are we getting our water and our food? We kind of go back, I don't want to say to the caveman days, but at least 100 or 200 years. We're not really prepared for that. We're used to the internet and pushing buttons to get stuff. So it's kind of another cautionary tale, like my first two books were. Like, hey, this is something fragile and something to be appreciated. So let's make sure that something like this doesn't happen in the real world.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I'm the most chill person ever. I'm the farthest thing from a prepper. But I remember there was a few years ago, I was talking to someone who was credible, who was not an alarmist about hacking that could happen and dropping the power grids. And I bought myself a water purifier just in case we don't have power. At least I will have water.
Good.
So I have step one.
Good.
I don't have any MRE bars or anything, but I've got a water purifier. So we're good.
Yeah. And that's a good point. I'm not trying to be alarmist. I'm trying to sell a book. These are fictional stories, but at the same time, they're grounded in reality. And I know there are thousands of people out there working to, you know, to fix this problem and to kind of, you know, put up a shield against it eventually. But like that 60 Minutes interview the other day with the 4-star general, he was talking about, I thought this was interesting, at least from a marketing standpoint. He's talking about China, how they're already hacking regular stuff. And he rattled off, if you watch the video, go to a minute 25, the interviewer goes, well, what specifically types of you know, terrorist activities do they do? He goes, water, transportation, power infrastructure. And I'm like, those are my 3 books. I'm like, wait a minute, rewind. Did he just say what I said? So he, being, you know, 4-star general, you know, he was in charge of the NSA for a while, I think under Biden. But that's a high up guy. He's got his fingers on a lot of different things. He's got a lot of knowledge. And so I think that my books are kind of resonating, again, marketing with those real world potential. So cautionary tale again.
Yeah, yeah, that's timely. Definitely, you want to take that real world clip from 60 Minutes and, you know, put your book with it for sure. So I want to ask a bit more of a technical question. So you did these first 2 books, you self-published, indie published.
Sort of. The second book I published with Black Rose Writing in Texas.
So yeah, they are absolutely, so they are small press. Okay.
Small press.
Yeah.
But after a year or two, I went ahead and bought the rights back. So I have the rights to. I wasn't happy with the audiobook. You know, when you do an audiobook, you have 2 options. You can either pay somebody $3,000 to $7,000 to do it, and you'll get 100% of the revenues, or you can have them do it for free, do a 50-50 rev share. Put the risk on them. The publisher chose to do the rev share part, and for whatever reason, the audiobook narrator, English was not his first language. So I wasn't happy with the outcome. I had friends of mine who bought the audiobook and said they couldn't understand what was happening, and they got frustrated. And I was like, sorry. So when I bought the rights back, I worked with ACX and we canceled that book. And I had Brad Will, former Broadway actor out of Tennessee. He did the first book, so we had him do the second book. Yeah.
And that's okay. That's good that you could buy your rights back from ACX, because I've heard that can be a nightmare, especially when you're locked in a royalty split.
Challenge.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good for you.
And the guy was the narrator was super cool, because he's like, we're not making any money, no, we're not selling anything anyway, because nobody's buying it. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's narrator dependent on whether they're gonna dig in about that or
You're
not.
absolutely right.
So you own those first two books yourself, and now the next book, which is in the series but a standalone, is with your agent. So is that difficult, like going on submission when you have other books you put out yourself, or what does that look like?
It is, and it's been an uphill battle, and honestly, I don't know who's going to end up picking it up, or if I'm going to end up self-publishing that one too. I have the fourth book, Echo from a Bayou, which is not a terrorist engineering plot. It's more of a what happens if you wake up and you remember that you were murdered, in a past life, and it was your best friend, and there was an axe and all this stuff. That there's it's a little supernatural, totally different subgenre. And so I self-published that one. But yeah, I met with an agent, finished Waterborne. I was getting ready to get started on Blackout at ThrillerFest. We had coffee, and I said, not my agent, but an agent who's been around the industry for a while. And I said, I kind of drew a picture. I go, this is where all my stuff is. I know, I'm sorry, it's a mess, but what would you recommend I do? And she goes, if the boat's kind of left, you're probably not going to get an agent, or even if you do, you probably won't get a publishing deal, because these first two books, at least for this third one you're looking to do, Blackout, you're probably not going to get, and even though they're doing well, it's kind of this trilogy series type thing, and that's not something that they're very interested in. So it'd be an uphill battle. But you could try to get an agent for a new book. So that's why you could keep writing. I write every day, but keep writing. And then, but my agent, Terry Wolf, liked Blackout. And so she likes it. And then she has, once that one gets to the process, I have two more books that are all done, all edited. And they're part of, and this is Tessa Weigart. She gave a wonderful presentation a couple years ago at ThrillerFest on series. She's a successful series author, and she was talking about the pros and cons of writing a series and things you need to take into consideration. And while I was in that, and this is why I love going to ThrillerFest, one of the many reasons, I had an epiphany. I was like, hey, I have a story that I wrote this is kind of a sci-fi thriller. I wrote a movie script for it, and I was like, what if I took that, did kind of do a reverse screen adaptation, turn that into a novel, but don't just write that novel. It's got crimes in it. So I can do crimes over and over and over with the same technology and the same protagonist. And I can have a series arc for the character. I can have a series arc for the technology, series arc for the protagonist, everybody. And I was like, I started writing stuff down. And so I got home from ThrillerFest, and I made a big spreadsheet, and I did some brainstorming with my family and everything. And we have a whole series Bible, we call it, of all 8 books. I wanted this to be like my Harry Potter. I want to have 8 books, and it's a strong female protagonist. It's got crime, it's got energy, it's a thriller, it's got suspense. It's got and it's got a time element. It's not time travel, but a time element where it kind of makes you think, like, what if? And so I have the first 2 books written and edited, and she has those too.
Yeah.
So those are kind of on the back burner.
That's
so I'm excited
fantastic
about those as well.
Yeah, I just love that she took the third book in a series-ish, even though it's a standalone, out for submission. That's so cool. I don't know that I've ever heard that, and I'm just
super cool.
That's fantastic. So good luck. I hope it gets picked up.
Thank you. Yeah, she's pitching it as it's a standalone, but she's got some words that she's using there. Because when I was pitching to try to make agent, immediately I said it's book 3, and they immediately shut down. Like, I don't want that. But she's got a strategy there on. She's looking for my. She's wonderful. She's looking for my forever publisher.
Yeah.
And so it'd be that book. And I think if we market that one properly, that could easily get 50, 100,000 sales or more, be a nice breakout novel. And then I've got these other ones that are coming down the pike, and I've got a whole bunch more ideas and stuff. I have book ideas and stuff, and then we have the other book that we're not going to talk about, but the secret, we call it the secret book. That's going to do well. I have a feeling. And so yeah, I'm in it to win it here, and I give her a lot of credit for taking a chance on me, and I'm hoping she hasn't had any no's yet. So nobody said no. So
Yeah.
they're just, I guess the publishing industry is taking a long time to respond, and there's piles and lots of
They
work,
do,
and
yeah.
it's
Like I've heard books been on sub for 8, 9 months. It can take a very long time, sometimes longer, right? So
yeah,
things
yeah,
have slowed down a bit, lately
yeah,
with things that have went on that we don't need to get into
right,
now because that's a
right.
whole other podcast. But
That's another
yeah,
podcast. Yes.
yeah. Terry's lovely. I know Terry. So hi, Terry, if you're listening. But so you were talking a little bit about marketing there, and so you've done a lot of it yourself, like when you got your rights back, and your wife works in marketing too. So I'm curious,
Mhm.
how do you do this together? Like what, for listeners who find marketing as mystifying as I do, what kind of tips might you have? Like you need to do these kind of things.
Man, where do we start?
Yeah.
Yeah. So several years ago, my wife was an elementary school teacher, and we had a program called Red Apple Reading, and it's an online program still out there. And so she kind of ran that for the last 12 years.
Yeah.
And that's been kind of winding down. Technology's been kind of advancing past what we thought we were cool having an online program, but now the apps and this and that. But we helped 70,000 kids in 40 different countries, all 50 states, learn how to read American English. It's been a great thing. But we're winding that. So she was kind of, as that was winding down, she was kind of saying, "Hey, I really enjoy the marketing aspect of book publishing. I like, coordinating, magazine interviews and Facebook ads and Instagram this and Twitter that." And so she kind of did a deep dive onto what you need to do. And fortunately, we had already had 3 publicity campaigns that we had hired people for out of my own pocket
Mm,
to say, these are all the things you need to do. This is why, and this is the time frame, 4 to 6 months before your pub date.
yeah.
And it's generally like 10 to 12, maybe 15,000 in like expenses
Yep.
for them per book. And so we had all this knowledge. So she took all that, she internalized it, and she said, I'd like to do this. So she's been spending more time. It's kind of a family affair. And then both of my daughters are kind of gifted when it comes to like graphic design. And they're 29 to 32.
Mm,
And so they're kind of at that age where I wouldn't say TikTok generation necessarily, but they know what like looks good. And you can't have a 5-minute sales video anymore. It needs to
right.
be 20 seconds or whatever. So we run a lot of the stuff by them to see if it, looks good, sounds good, etc. And we put them kind of on the payroll, and they make graphics, and they do this and this program and this program. And one of them helped us make a video, a book video, like a trailer
Yeah.
video. My younger daughter did that. So it's kind of all 4 of us are kind of working. I work on the Facebook ads. It's a guy's name, Mark, the Facebook ads guru, JD Barker recommended him. It'll come to me in a second. But I took his class, like $800 for his class, and he get all these videos. This is how you do your Facebook ads. These are the size. This is how you do it. This is how you do A/B testing. All of that stuff. It's all videos. Very helpful. So I'm constantly running Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Instagram Reels, and we're learning what works and what doesn't work. It's tricky
Yeah.
because it changes every month.
Yep.
So what was working, 6 months ago is not necessarily working right now. We've tried sending people to landing pages. We tried sending them directly to Amazon to buy. Tried sending them directly to my website. Seems like the landing page seems to be kind of the sweet spot there. If you send them to your web page, they could get lost, and if you send them to Amazon, they could get lost. So that would be my one piece of advice. Right now, 6 months from now, it might not work as well. But
right now.
But anyway, yeah, it's but my wife does, yeah, so exactly. So she's been integral to the marketing and advertising efforts that we have. And then, the next book that comes out, we'll hire a publicist. And instead of having to spend 12 or 15,000, it might only be like 7 to 10. Because Tammy, my wife, can do some of the tasks, that person at the higher rate won't need to do. We want that person to kind of look at the strategy and the big picture, like, oh, okay, over the next 6 months, these are the things we're going to be doing. I'll do this. Tammy, you can do these relatively simple things, but I don't want to call it busy work because it's fun. But those things that we don't have to pay. So save a little bit of money, but at the same time, still get a robust plan out to kind of get maximum sales.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Wow, that time went fast. So I guess I will just wrap up with the question. I know, I'm like, that flew.
15 minutes, no 30.
30, yeah. I'm just going to wrap up with a question we like to ask everyone. So now, being where you are, if you could offer advice to newer aspiring writers, what would it be?
I would say wherever you're at, give up. Everybody can be a writer. It takes time. And try if you can, try to write every day, even if it's just a couple hundred words. Write every day. In my mind, there's a little piece of your brain that's like, if you don't write for a couple weeks, it starts getting stale and gets cobweb, and then it gets dusty. You write every day, it stays lubricated and well, it works well. And when you go to write, the words, we all just kind of channel words onto the page. And if you don't write every day, that to me, it's magical. It's kind of the magic kind of like starts glitching. And if you go a couple months, which I've done a few years ago, I went a couple months, I didn't write anything, and I sat back down to write. It wasn't working. The words weren't flowing, and I was like, oh man, did I lose my superpower? What happened? And then after a couple of weeks of writing every day, it came back. So try to write every day and don't give up. It's all about persistence. It's persistence, and you're here to entertain people. Even if you just have one person read your book and say, I love this, to me that's worth more than any amount of money. And by speaking of money, don't write for money. Right? Because you love the craft, right? Because you enjoy creating something from nothing. It's a unique human experience that us writers, I think, like I said, it's a privilege. So it's probably several pieces of advice, so I apologize, but yeah, enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, try to enjoy every step of the way.
Okay, so not selling when you're on submission is a bummer. I know a lot of authors have been there. What do you do when a book doesn't sell?
Write the next one.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely need to do that. I think if possible, try and find out why it's not selling. So, just like when you're querying an agent, if you're getting a lot of rejections, try to find out why they're rejecting you to see if it's something you can fix. So if editors are turning down the book, you want to understand from their perspective what it is they're looking at. And honestly, like, that feedback is extremely important, because it's really not the editor who's turning you down. And most of the bigger publishers, it's the marketing department. Because the editor takes that, if they find a book they like, they take it to a particular meeting, the marketing staff is in there, and it's an acquisition meeting. So they put it out there, they make their pitch. I like this book because, but if those marketing people don't like it, I guarantee the publisher is not buying it. But any of that feedback is useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's people, reading feedback is never like easy or fun. And especially when you're talking agents and editors, because they speak sort of in code, right? Like usually they're not super direct on like exactly why they're turning it down. And so I do think that's an interesting skill to try to cultivate is, there's like, the words, and then there's what's underneath the words. And if you can try to figure out what they're saying, which unfortunately takes a lot of rejections to kind of start to learn that underlying language, but it is there, and you can start to, like, oh, it just didn't grab me. Like, well, it just means something's wrong with your first few pages. It's, not, but I think that so many people kind of, they cling to the, well, reading's subjective, so there's nothing wrong. It just didn't work for me, which is true, but there's also probably something else going on that I think is not comfortable for people, but I do think learning that underlying language is important.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. So anybody who hasn't seen one of those emails, and I've seen plenty of those emails, they'll say something like, "So and so is a fantastic writer. I absolutely love the concept and this and that, but it's not for me." Or we've got something similar on the list coming out. They'll throw something else in there. Typically, you have to take a couple of those emails and kind of put them side by side and start comparing stuff. But every editor, I think they have their, it's probably a cut and paste, to be honest with you. They probably have a, set form that they're just filling out and they just slap a couple sentences in there to customize it. But yeah, that's huge if you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was so interesting to me that Luke self-pubbed the first book, which is a standalone, but also meant to be in a series. Small pressed the second book and then got the rights back and self-pubbed. And now his agent is taking the third book in that series out on submission with traditional publishers. I don't think I have heard of that, or, what are your thoughts about that? That was new to me, that could happen.
Well, that's super tricky because the second, you take that book to an editor and present it to them, they're looking at the history and they see one or two other books out there. So, even if you present it as a standalone, like this book has series, portions of it are series related, but the book, works as a standalone. You don't have to read the other ones. Like you can make that whole spiel, but they're going to tie it back to the first two anyway. And they're going to primarily look at that sales data. If the sales on the first two books is good, and then they might actually do something. But if they're not, then you're in a lot of trouble. So in most cases, you're entering that world with a handicap, walking through the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was encouraging to me, though, that you can make some mistakes and still survive in this business, still get an agent, still have them take you out on sub. Any thoughts on that?
I think that's all business. Oh, Christine muted
I
me.
messed it up. Sorry, Alex.
I think that's true of any business. I think that, the myth of one opportunity is one that continually just gets under my skin because I don't think it's true. It's never one opportunity. I mean, unless, you mess something up in a completely horrifically disastrous way. But even then, a lot of times people can always make a comeback. I think it's just always comes down to sort of that perseverance and that tenacity and that, you're in it for the long haul type of mentality. You're never really down and out unless you take yourself out, I think.
You can recover from it, but it's almost like you're digging a hole. A lot of the mistakes that he made, I get why they happened and everything, but with a little bit of research, he probably could have avoided them. But instead of doing that, he dug this hole that he now has to climb out of just to get back to zero and start over again.
Yes.
So with any business, I think you need to research it as thoroughly as you possibly can. I mean, there's other authors out there you could reach out to, and they can walk you through every one of these steps. Because anybody who's been in this industry for a little while, understands agents, understands editors, understands there's always so many moving parts. But you've got to ask the questions. Nobody's going to come to you and give you the answers if you don't raise your hand.
Yeah. Oh, I 100% agree with that. Yeah.
I think too, opportunities can show up at the most random times. I did an audiobook for my first Cozy Fantasy, and I just assumed I was going to do audiobooks and pay for it myself for that whole series. But then I got interest in the sequel. And that's what spawned off getting an agent and then moving towards that direction for another series. So it can happen, random opportunities, but that's the time to think, do you want to sell that first book to them, or how do you want to go about the right path to make sure that everything's sort of cleaned up so that you don't have all this mess?
Yeah.
Yeah. He talked a little bit here about this, and I think it's worth mentioning again. I think we've talked about this before, but if you royalty split with your audiobook narrator, it may be very difficult to get your rights back. So if for any reason, within the 7 years usually is when you're royalty splitting, you want to take that book down, if your narrator doesn't agree with you, you're kind of out of luck.
Yeah. Well, that kind of goes back to the whole JD was talking about, right? Yeah, I mean, you can always recover and do things, but I guess whether you're look at the visual of a whole, or like, you make that mountain a lot steeper to climb. Like, making mistakes is definitely not going to like make the path easier for the most part.
Well, I'll throw in, and I know that, ACX kind of dictates some of the terms for contracts and things, but you can always do a separate contract. But you should always have a buyout clause in deals like that. So I did not have that with my first series of books that I did through the content exchange. But 7 years is long past on all those, so I can do what I want. But I did have a narrator who was very generous about it, actually. But I ended up buying him out so that I could take the books to Spotify when they offered me a deal. But we had a contract in place that made that really simple and set the price in advance, so I knew exactly how much I was going to be on the hook. Because otherwise, they can kind of hold you for ransom if they want. I mean, a deal's a deal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned on another note too. With certain small presses, sometimes they will put their like the press name as like a co-author. I don't know how frequent this is, but I have heard that this happens. And if that happens, then again, like if you want to take it off of Amazon, you have to get their permission to do that. So, again, I guess going back to what JD said, research, you got to research and know what you're getting into and be as informed as possible.
Yeah. I did not know that. That's good to know.
I would never have accepted that. There's no one's adding their name as a co-author on one of my books. That's just not going to.
Yeah.
Unless they are actually a co-author. Like I'm not letting any publisher or anybody put their name on there as a co-contributor.
Yeah, I don't know how common it is, but I have heard some grumblings, on the social medias about it. So it has happened.
The only time I've ever seen it as kind of a norm is with foreign publishers. Like if you have a translator, a lot of times they'll add the translator name with the author name. But
which is at least reasonable.
Yeah. In a lot of the webs, like Amazon, I don't know if it's like this consistently across the board, but on some of them, they can actually list them as the translator instead of an author. But I think if they can't, like if that little toggle box isn't there, then they just code them as an author so that their name is up there. Because a lot of people, in foreign markets, like they look for specific translators because, some are better than others, and they've got a following, just like audiobook narrators have a following.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we talked marketing a little bit. Luke's wife does his marketing. And so his tip was that sending to landing pages seems to be what's working in marketing right now, this month anyways. What do you think about that? Have you had the same experience?
Yeah. So people were talking about this a lot at NINC. And I think one of the things that's happening is a lot of the search engines are kind of leaning in on AI. And so it's kind of changing the game when it comes to SEO. So having a dedicated page to that book with the description, and then the other advice was to make sure that your book description matches like everywhere, every sales platform and on your website. It for some reason the AI sees that as sort of credibility, and it will bump the listing up. So if you have a dedicated URL and website for that book on your website, it'll push that to the top of the search results more often.
I don't really know anything about landing pages.
That's as much as I know. That was the entire load. So.
That was Kevin Tumlinson's knowledge base.
I've always done this anyway, though. I've always made sure that I had a page for each book, because you can do things like put special, like I'll put maybe a video, or I'll record a special podcast episode or something. I can add that to the promotional materials, and so I always think of it as building a promotions packet for your book.
So instead of having a books page, you have a page for every book.
I have both. I have a books page, and then I have pages for each book.
So for the ones where you have pages for each book, are those like, do you see them on your website, or are those just like a click from other places to like secret site on your website?
You'd get there through, you would navigate there through think of the books page as being like a menu for all those individual books, So, but if someone were searching, they could stumble onto that page. It's not hidden. It's not like locked or private.
Not hidden, but not like displayed at the top as a
It's not in my menu bar.
Gotcha.
No. Yeah.
Mine shows up in the menu bar. I'm pretty sure that it's based on a WordPress, some kind of template or something.
Yeah.
But it's the same deal. Like I've got a specific books page that has all the titles on there, and then each book has its own page if you drill down.
Yeah. I could absolutely do that. I just didn't want to clutter the menu bar with it. But you could do a drop down or something that's like, just books. And then they click it, every single book is there. But it seems like a nightmare to me. Like I wouldn't want to have to scroll through that myself.
So this is I got
like 100 books.
This is kind of off topic, but also along the same lines. How do those universal links work as far as AI? Like, is that going to go away, or is AI going to double down?
No,
that's a good question.
I actually think they're going to be very beneficial, because it's one more site linking to your book, on various platforms. So I think it reads like credibility to the AI. But I only have guesswork to use for that. Like, there's no data that's telling us this yet.
Yeah.
But SEO has definitely shifted. It's not like it once was. Keywords are not the driving factor of SEO anymore. It's relevancy and context.
Yeah.
I think too, on the note of landing pages, if you do direct sales, making that your direct sales page and always using that as your resource, and then on that page have opportunities if people don't want to buy direct, but that way it's linking back outward so that AI systems or any other system can see that these are linked together and that it can recommend it better. But then your landing page, people can direct buy from as well.
All right. That's cool. I learned some stuff. And I guess with that, JD, who is up next week?
So we're all currently at Author Nation, and we're going to record a very special interview, but I don't think I want to say who it is just yet. So if anybody
you're
wants
going to have
hear
to tune in.
Yeah, you're going to have to tune in. Primarily because I want to make sure it happens before we actually put the name on.
There you go.
Good plan.
Surprise guest next week. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, either that or it'll be the 4 or 5 of us just talking to each other for an hour.
Yeah.
Or that.
One or the other.
Okay. If you'd like to be notified as soon as new episodes publish, make sure you go to writersincpodcast.com and sign up now. We'll see you next episode, and have a great week of writing.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Writers Inc. Access the show notes and leave a comment at writersincpodcast.com.